was Menuet number 2 from Music for the Royal Fireworks by Handel, the A1 piece of the ABRSM Grade 2 flute exam pieces from 2022.
Before we start a deep dive on the piece, just to mention that I'm not an ABRSM examiner, so I don't know exactly all the ins and outs of the exam and what they look for, so these are all my personal interpretations of the pieces, but I do have 20 plus years of music playing experience and more than 8 years of teaching music on the side. Hopefully this video can help you get your grades up, but more importantly, your passion for playing the flute and gaining all the little techniques and tricks that I'm about to show you here.
Right, let's have a look at the piece in general. The first thing you notice is the time signature. Now it says 3/4. 3 is the number of counts and 4 means crotchets. So we have 3 crotchets in a bar. The second thing you notice is the key signature. Now the key signature here has a B flat. Having a look at the rest of the piece, there's no accidentals. Now this means the piece is in F major. Onto the B flat first, we have our first finger and thumb on our left hand and first finger and pinky on our right hand. It's the same fingering for both the B flats we're playing, we're just pushing slightly harder and faster on the higher B flat. Now, if you're not familiar with the F major, you can refer to your scales book. Personally, I find it very useful to know what scales of the piece that I'm playing because it gives me the fingering of the note that I need exactly. Now, here's the F major. Of course, in this piece, we're only going to the high D, so you don't need to go any further than that. And you can just stop at the D if you're practicing the F major for this piece. Now the last thing we will see is the speed. Now the speed says here it is a crotchet equals 116, so that's 116 beats per minute, which is about this kind of speed. And this is the kind of speed we were aiming for to get to when we are finally ready for our exam. Now that we have a look at the basics of the piece, the time signature, the key signature and the speed, now let's have a look at the structure of the piece. Now this piece is in AABB form. That means there are 2 sections, the A section and the B section, where you get a A melody, slightly different A melody, the B melody and then the slightly different B melody. Let's have a look at the A section first. The A section has 2 phrases, as we said before. The first phrase starts from bar 1 to bar 8. Now here is the first A melody. So that was the first A melody. Now the second A melody is slightly different to the first A melody, and we start from bar 10 up until bar 16. You can tell that it's rhythmically slightly different, but in general the phrase structure is very much similar. Now that was the A section, and on to the B section now. Again, we have 2 melodies here. The first one starting from bar 17 and ending in bar 24. Now you can hear that's quite different to the A melody that we had before. The second B melody runs from bar 25 towards the end. It starts off slightly differently, slightly lower than when we first started the B melody, but we end in exactly the same way. Now that was the structure of the piece. Now let's move on to a deep dive in the technical aspects of the piece. The A melody starts off with a fairly simple rhythm with a minim and then a crotchet. But then we go into the second bar and we have a slightly interesting rhythm. We start off the bar with a crotchet, and then we have 2 slurred quavers on beat 2, and then on beat 3 we have a crotchet. Now we need to make sure that the crotchets are long enough and the quavers are short enough and we're not mixing and matching with, the quavers and crotchets we have. So here's the metronome and the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the rhythm is used a couple of times in the A melodies. So for example, bar 2 and bar 3, bar 5 and bar 6, and bar 14. So it's very important to get the rhythm right. The tonguing is also important as well. Remember, we have a slur on the 2 quavers, but we also need to tongue the crotchet at the end. So we don't want to slur the crotchet in as well, we just want to slur the quavers. So here's an example. So you can hear me tonguing both the start of the slur and then the crotchet as well. Let's move on to bar 4, where we have a trill. The recommended rhythm is written on top, so we go higher first onto a G on the quaver, and then we go into semi-quavers, F, G, F, G, and then we stay on F for the rest of the bar. Now if we count slowly, we go 1 and 2 and 3 and. So here's the G for me. Ba 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 ba. So on the flute. So make sure that bar itself ends up in 3 beats. Now it doesn't matter so much if your trill is faster, your trill is slower, as long as you did the trill, you did the rhythm of the trill, and you managed to hold the 3 beats in the bar, then that's fine. So, and also if you need to, you can take a breath after bar 4 as well. Moving on, we can see the first B flat of the piece comes in at bar 7, so remember your fingering. Thumb and first finger on your left, index and pinky on your right. Now we need to make sure that the G on bar 8 and the rest in bar 8 are 3 beats long. And this is important because we are playing with the piano accompaniment here. So you first hear the piano coming in bar 10. Ba bum, so they're starting the phrase ba bum, and then we're coming in with our echo. So if you got lost because you wasn't counting, you weren't paying attention, when after you hear the piano going ba bum, then you can come in with the second phrase. Now the second A melody starts off the same, but we don't get the quaver rhythm back in bar 2. So these are now all crotchets. It is also in MP now. Now, MP means mezzo piano, so, and it means mediumly soft. So instead of the start of the song, in the first A melody we get forte, which is loud. We're playing quieter. So to do that, we want to reduce our embouchure, which is the kind of shape we make of our lips, so we get a more smaller and focused blow onto it. So here's a demo with the start of the 8th melodies. Compared to the MP. On the second phrase. So you can hear the difference there. Onto the B section now. You notice that the first B melody is in MF. Now this means we're slightly louder than we were compared to the mezzo piano we were in the second A melody, but we're not as loud as the start of the piece. Now the rhythm that is prevalent in the B section we can see right here in bar 17. We start off with 2 quavers slurred and then 2 crotchets. Now let's have a listen to the metronome and the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Also note the tonguing in here. The quavers are always slurred in here, but the crotchets aren't. They alternate between tongued and slurred, so we need to look out for those. So from bar 17, those 2 are tongued. Those crotchets are slurred. Tongued. And that was slurred. Look out for your B flat here, they are back. We also have our highest note here, which is the high D we are playing. So the high D we play with our thumb, third and fourth finger on our left hand, and on the right hand is just the pinky. The rhythm repeats itself for a couple of bars until we get to bar 23. We start off with a slur from A to a B flat, and then we have a trill. The trill is on a dotted crotchet. Now remember, the dot after any note is half of its value. So we have the crotchet, which is a value of 1, and plus the dot, which is a value of half. So we now have quaver, half, half, 1.5, and then a half to make up the 3 beats. Let's hear it without the trill. And with the trill. Now, again, the recommended rhythm is written up there as well. So we start off higher on an A note, on the quaver, and then semi-quavers, the G and the A, and then we back onto a quaver G. Now we're counting in quavers. We go 1 and 2 and 3 and ba 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 ba. Again, ba 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 ba. So that was the rhythm in bar 23. Make sure that the F note in here is 3 beats long. So let's have a listen full speed from bar 22. So make sure at the end of bar 24 that the bar itself ends up in 3 beats. If you need a breath before 24, you can maybe do it at the start of bar 21 or start of bar 22. And that's the first B melody. Now onto the second B melody. It's repeated a third lower. We start off a third lower. We are on an F instead of an A. We're also now quieter in mezzo piano compared to in mezzo forte. The difference of the phrases, except for the third lower, comes in bar 29 when we start to end the phrase. The rhythm is still exactly the same as from bar 21 to bar 24, but we now have a crescendo going from bar 29 until we get to the forte in bar 31. So, reminder on the D natural, the D note on bar 29, we are playing with left hand, thumb, middle finger and fourth finger, but we're not putting the index finger on. We're not putting the index finger on the left hand, and we're putting second, third and fourth finger on the right hand. Notice that's different to the high D that we were doing in bar 18. So the crescendo, the big arrow going from bar 29 to bar 31 means we're gradually getting louder. So we're going louder from an MP until we get to the same volume at bar 31, which is the forte. So we should be as loud as we were when we first started the piece. Another thing you'll notice is the rate, so that means we're gradually slowing down now. So we're going at the speed here. You notice that it's taken longer for me to play compared to bar 23. It's now slow because I've gradually slowed it down to end the piece. Now don't slow down too fast or you'll surprise your pianist because he needs to play with you on that final note. The trill is exactly the same as we had in bar 23, so I won't repeat that. Well, that was the quick deep dive / tutorial / technical reminders of the A1 piece, which is Menuet No. 2 from Music for the Royal Fireworks by G.F.Handel. I think this is quite a nice little piece. There might be some tricky bits with the trills and the dynamics, but the fingerings, rhythms, and the note you're going to be playing isn't too difficult. I think it's a good choice for you to pick if you're going to do the ABRSM Grade 2 exam. Hopefully that was useful to you. I'll be putting up the rest of the pieces soon for Grade 2. Give a like and subscribe if you like what I did here. Put a comment down there if you want me to go over anything specific you think I've missed, or you've got any more tips and tricks for other watchers or listeners. So I'll see you next time in the next video on Master of None.